Welcome back to Live Like It Matters with me, Elissa Kalver. It is October, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and there were some fun things I wanted to make sure we got in, and that is hanging out with my fellow metastatic, thriving breasties here. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, so what I'm thinking, rather than me like reading each of your life diagnosis and all these things, is I'll actually start by saying the type of cancer and that, and if you guys want to kind of go through, just kind of like your diagnosis and that, because we're all a little bit different, even though we're all stage 4, and then I was thinking we could dive right into all this Pinktober stuff. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Perfect.
All right, so I was diagnosed de novo, so originally off the bat with metastatic breast cancer 4 years ago, and I am HER2 positive and hormone negative. And I feel like you can explain HER2 positive better than I can, so I'm going to wait till Megan talks. But yeah, I'm actually just starting a clinical trial right now that Megan also just started. She's kind of paving the way for me, so it's pretty neat having friends in the space that we can relate to.
I'm so jazzed you're on my trial. I can't even tell you. This is, I'll get into it in a second, but this is my 4th clinical trial. I've never known anybody also on the trial with me, and so I've been kind of like lone ship out there, just being like, who else? Caca.
And then there's me on like the tugboat, like,
yeah.
me.
And I know somebody else who started it before me, so this is the first time I've known multiple people, but yeah, so Megan O'Neill. I was diagnosed at the age of 30 originally with early stage breast cancer. I had about 4.5 years of living free and clear, and then the bitch came back. Can we say bitch?
Yeah, you can say whatever you'd like.
Perfect. So I've been metastatic since 2020. This October, whoop whoop, 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah.
Out there living it. So yeah, like I said, I'm on my 5th line of treatment, 4 of which have been clinical trials. Super passionate about that. HER2 positive, which just basically means, I mean, for people who don't know, it just means it's a more aggressive subtype. Mm-hmm. But because there's sort of a target, it's treatable. Like it's a little bit more treatable because we can kind of target that and target the HER2 receptor as part of treatment.
Well, now we can because of so many amazing people participating in clinical trials.
Hells yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if I missed anything, but that's a good
that's
jumping off
perfect.
point, I
Yeah,
guess.
awesome.
Yeah.
And Shayna?
Amazing. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Shayna Welsh. I was diagnosed very young. I was diagnosed at 23, right after I graduated college. And I found a lump on my breast, and I got that checked out. I am triple positive, so I am hormone and HER2 positive. So because it is treatable for hormone and HER2, I had to go through a lot of different treatments, and I had a lot of surgeries, radiations, all that stuff. So I did a full year of active treatment, and then I did a full year of preventative treatment. But I was in remission after my breast surgery. So I was in remission for 2 years, and then I started to get really bad headaches, and that's when my breast cancer came back in my brain, and I was 25 at the time. So I had more surgeries, more radiation, and then I did HER2, which is basically chemo and antibody infusions for what you do for HER2. And then that was working, but I was having a really terrible time with it. Like my quality of life was horrible on it. As you know, you've been.
Yeah, I wrote about it quite a bit in my book. That was a life's moment to reflect on. Yeah,
and HER2 is amazing, and I totally am thankful for it. But it definitely, I was like, I can't do this. So I decided to have my ovaries and tubes taken out as a preventative measure for ovarian cancer, since I'm BRCA positive. But that also put me in permanent menopause at 26. So that kind of decreased my risk of my estrogen and progesterone fueled tumors. So I got to drop down in treatment, and then I am doing antibody infusions, and then I take like a little pill every day, and we will continue doing that until that doesn't work, or until whenever. So that's where I'm at. But I just celebrated in August 1 year of no evidence of disease.
That's so exciting. Congrats.
It's a really big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really big deal. All right, Keriann.
I'm Keriann Engle. I was originally diagnosed when I was 35 at stage 3. I am estrogen positive, progesterone positive, HER2 negative. I did 16 rounds of chemo, 25 rounds of radiation, had a mastectomy and reconstruction, and I was no evidence of disease until November of 2021, which was about a little over 2 years later. I had a recurrence in my liver. I was fortunate in that my presentation was very unusual. I had one metastasis, which is strange. Metastasis usually happens in a cascade, but that's very fortunate because it was also located at sort of the edge of the liver, so it was easily resectable. So first I did 4 additional rounds of chemo to make sure that the disease was under systemic control. Then I had a liver resection in August of 2022 to remove the tumor. And I've been no evidence of disease since that surgery, which is great.
Yeah.
It feels like a big deal that I am now no evidence of disease longer than I was in the first place, which is
Huge.
That's big for my
Yeah.
mental health.
Congratulations.
And I've been on targeted therapy, which is a pill I take for 3 weeks and I have 1 week off. And then I've been on endocrine therapy to shut down my hormones since then. And overall, it's not too bad. I don't have to go in for infusions. I get a shot once a month and I take 2 pills every day. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you don't have to downplay it yet.
Yeah.
You're a badass. No, but thank you guys for all sharing that. A lot of the things I feel like we all just said is the kind of things that, like, I know for me 4 years ago before being diagnosed, I would have no idea what any of that was. Or like that even stage 4 breast cancer, we're like all a little different, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, as we're in October, one of my big goals this month is, and I'm sure you guys have said this or hear people say it, I've said it, like, we're aware, like, right? We're aware that breast cancer exists. We need more research, all this stuff. But like, I've been thinking about it more lately, and it's like, people really aren't aware though of like anything that we just discussed.
No.
They're aware that people get breasts removed when they get breast cancer, right? They're aware of like, you should get mammograms and early detection and like all this stuff. And then when I was diagnosed stage 4, and they're like, yeah, no, actually, it's like not part of the standard of care to even do a mastectomy. It's like, wait, what? I don't understand any of this, right? Or even getting a recurrence in your brain. I thought, like, am I dying? And then it's like, wow, this targeted therapy just got rid of that? That's like wild. So what I wanted us to all kind of come together and talk about is like the things that most people don't talk about. And of course, the stats that we say, you guys have heard a lot, I'm sure, but we'll say here of like, that 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, a third of them will end up, recurring in stage 4 and earlier stages. And basically like 99% of deaths happen in stage 4, but we only get 2 to 5% of the research funding, which is pretty wild.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Say it again for those in the back.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, only 2 to 5% of breast cancer funding goes for metastatic breast cancer research.
Yeah.
It's wild, and no one is dying of early stage breast cancer, but yet we're putting all the funding. And listen, I care about prevention, and I was an early stager, but also another stat that I think is important is that it comes back in 30% of early stage patients.
Right.
So even more of a reason to invest in understanding why cancer metastasizes the way that it does. We just don't really understand. We know kind of where it moves or where it can tend to move, like whether it's the brain or the liver or the lungs, but we don't really know why it's going there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for those in the back.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we're lucky that we have so many treatments right now, given that, it really is amazing. Imagine what could exist if we got more than 2 to 5%. But what I think is so hard about it too is that people, they're afraid of being where we are, right? Like
I was.
we're people's worst nightmare in breast cancer.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, and so it's not as comfortable to talk about, and I think that because of that, it does all of us a disservice because the people who want to help and like, there's definitely parts of October that are pink washing and kind of using for marketing, all that. But I do think that there's this huge amount of people who just don't know what to do to help or support. And so they see something pink or that, and they want to like represent it, or maybe they lost someone to breast cancer, and like most people who lose people, they won't know if it was like HER2 positive or right, like they don't know those details. And so I think that like finding where we can meet in the middle of just like educating and letting people know what we're going through. And we need more funding because we want to live a full life, but we also have come such a far way. We're not like a lost cause. Like we all look pretty great.
We'd like to live, please.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I talk a ton about, you know, being able to live and thrive, not just staying alive and surviving. So, you know, I was on in HER2, like Shayna, what you talked about, and I made the same choice to go off of it. And I'm so grateful for it. Like it saved my life. And then now there was other options to have, which like I was so afraid to change treatments, you know, because I'm like, I always think of it like we're like cats with like a certain amount of lives, you know? Right? And like you check one off, it's like, I don't know, it's scary. What if the next one doesn't work and all that? How do you guys feel like when you've switched treatments and that?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's devastating. Like being in between and like, you're just like, please work. You know, again, I'm emotional thinking about it, but it's like you're putting all of your energy and just hoping that you can endure whatever, you know, symptoms come along with those drugs in order to be able to live longer. And so it's just like being in the in-between sucks. I was stable for 3.5 years, my second line of treatment, and I just, how lovely to feel so safe, you know? But it's hard. You're putting all of your energy into switching into something that you don't know if it works or not. You don't know what the side effects are going to be. People don't know how to help you because you don't know how to help yourself because you don't, it's literally, the good thing is if we're going to take something positive about it is it forces you to be day by day.
Yeah.
You know, just live day by day. And honestly, that's, and it's a beautiful way to live. I wouldn't live any other way.
Yeah, I mean, cancer doesn't need to be a prerequisite for that piece, but unfortunately, it is. And I always say, like, I was always, like, doing lots of things and all that, a little crazy before cancer, but now it's like, oh, you know, I'd really like to talk to my fellow breast cancer friends and do a podcast. We're going to do it. Drew, when are you available? And I rent the studio, and we've, like, you know, I've been here 6 hours today recording.
Amazing.
And I just think that it's like those perspectives is what needs to be heard more, not only for like people to understand for breast cancer, but like for life in general. Like this affects everyone and people around them that they don't even realize. Yeah. What's like, okay, so let's dive into some areas of it. One thing I always like have noticed, and I mean, so I'm 4 years in now, and like every October, I'm always like, I don't know. Like I never,
That's how I feel. Pink.
Yes.
Because in a lot of ways, I feel less connected to early stage breast cancer than I do to other types of cancer. And like, you know, my whole life's mission, we got this, is really for everyone affected by cancer. And so I try to like figure out where can I fit in properly to like make this make sense. So like this year, I'm like, I think that the best way that I can make an impact is by us all talking about it and encouraging other people to do the same. What did you guys feel like from not having breast cancer to having it and experiencing October?
So, do you mind if I go?
Go ahead.
So, my relationship with cancer started way before I even got cancer. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer right after I was born. So I grew up seeing her go through breast cancer and knowing about it. And she passed away when I was 13. And so even though I understood it a little bit, October for me before I got cancer was, her birthday is also in October. So it was very heavy because you just see all of this just like push of like, you know, like about breast cancer, you know, remembering those we lost, breast cancer. And I was just like, oh, like this is a lot. And then now being in, you know, especially now metastatic where you see all this pink washing and you see everybody come out of the woodwork that have never said anything about breast cancer or breast cancer research, start posting all this stuff or, you know, all the discounts with all the companies and all of this. And you're just like, I feel angry because I'm just like, well, you're using me and you're using us, and you're never going to talk about us again until next October, and you're probably not even going to donate like a decent amount of that money, if any. And I also feel, you know, obviously I miss my mom, but I'm very grateful that the treatments that I've had and how my life with metastatic breast cancer has been, you know, as crappy as it is to have metastatic breast cancer, because treatments have come such a long way, and surgeries and like radiation and all of these special things. You know, I always wonder if my mom would have had it and during this time, if her journey would have been different. And my mom did not have the community and the support that I have. Like, she was very, very alone. And so there's a lot of sadness, because I think about all the women that haven't been able to have the opportunities and the support of this community that you've built, that other organizations have built, and that there's more access to that with, you know, technology and all of this stuff. But it also just, as angry as it makes me, it also just is a reminder that I'm still here, and that, you know, there are, because of the good that has happened in all these innovations, you know, I get to keep living, and so many more women get to keep living. And that it's not as scary thinking about it now that I'm in it. So,
Well said. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
You guys have any thoughts on October?
My first 2 Octobers, I would say. So I was diagnosed in February of 2019. So that first October of 2019, I just wrapped up treatment that year. And then October of 2020, I was still pretty mad about everything. And the way I feel still, I'm less angry, but I'm now moved into irritated, I guess. Because awareness was at one time a totally worthy goal. It was taboo to speak about breast cancer. It was called women's issues, women's cancer. And it was necessary to have awareness that this happens to a lot of women. It's nothing shameful. It's not anything sexual. It's just a disease that happens to 1 in 8 women. But we're past that now, and now we don't need awareness. We need education, and we need research. And I don't need people to sell pink shirts. I need money to go to research so that I can keep living and other women can keep living. And I think it's worthy to actually educate people about breast cancer. But the American Cancer Society puts up a bunch of posters that say early detection saves lives, and then they tell people not to do breast self-exams. Well, if you're someone like us who are all diagnosed under the age of 40, which is when you get a first mammogram, how are you going to early detect if you aren't doing self-exams?
Say it louder for those in the back.
So it's not good enough anymore. It's not good enough for me anymore to just focus on awareness. I want action or meaningful education.
I love the way you said education instead of awareness, because it's like, you know, they are different.
Yes.
And I guess that's been what I've been like trying to put my finger on is people are aware that breast cancer exists. They are not educated on what that means.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, I would imagine not having breast cancer but having another type of cancer and being a woman, I'd be pretty freaking annoyed in October.
Or being a man with breast cancer.
Being what?
A man with breast cancer.
Exactly.
When I was initially diagnosed and I went for my biopsies, there was a sign that said female only area in the waiting room for breast biopsies. First of all, that's insane. No one's naked in the waiting area.
Yeah.
But second of all, what if you're a man who needs a breast biopsy? How would you feel seeing that? And how would you feel in October when everything is pink and everything's save the tatas? It's just so, it seems like pandering at this point.
I totally agree.
And it's more deadly for men, you know?
Yeah.
And so that needs to be a part of the conversation as well. And if every gown that you wear is pink when you go into those places, like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I joke even the piece of paper of resources that I got when I was diagnosed was pink copy paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember Eric being like, that's not, you don't think that's because it's breast cancer. I was like, it's
Absolutely.
absolutely because
Yes.
it's breast
This
cancer.
is not a donut box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I too have a very difficult relationship with Breast Cancer Awareness Month. On one hand, it is the month where breast cancer organizations get a ton of funding.
Yes.
So in ways we're like, okay, yes, give it, like whatever it needs. But I agree, it needs to be Breast Cancer Action Month, and people have been pushing this for a really long time. We need to absolutely change the name. Whatever Congress, however we do that, change the name Breast Cancer Action Month. What are we doing for action? Because honestly, for people under 40 that are diagnosed, the mortality rate has not dropped since 2010. Like that's, so I think people think like, oh, we're doing so well, it's the easy cancer. It's like, no, we are losing our young individuals. I won't even say women. We're losing young individuals we're not improving. We haven't
more and
improved
more
with all this
people.
research. We're not improving. But at the same time, do I love an experience where I get paraded and like given a free pink T-shirt and get to go on the field at Charger Stadium and like have my little pom poms and go whoop whoop?
Yeah. How did we get into that this year?
I missed the mark to tell you.
Oh,
But maybe
we'll talk after.
we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do think that some organizations, and here's the thing, I think they can easily translate that to really good action. But my issue is like when the Chargers have me on the field, and I shouldn't like shit on them because I want to go next year. But they give a very small check to American Cancer Society and they go, woo, aren't we doing so great? It's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not enough money, Chargers.
Yeah.
Give us more money.
Give us more money. But yeah, it is a month where a lot of nonprofits get the bulk of their donations. It's on top of mind. It is an opportunity for us to really share stories and be out there. But as a survivor, like I'm a 10-year survivor now, there have been some years where I hide and I do not come out. I do not go on social media because it's overwhelming, because it feels like, I have to do something. And if I don't do something, who's going to do it? No one, right?
Yeah.
So you feel this sort of like this guilt by not participating. And so since becoming metastatic, I'm like, oh, I have to now because my life is on the line. Like it really does feel like, and when I ask people for money for research, it's so personal in a way that hurts when they don't give, you know? And so my goal this year is trying to separate myself from those funds, to be like, even if people aren't giving, they still value my life. But it feels like this money, it's not just for me, it's for you, it's for my family, it's for everyone coming after. Like research compounds. So the more we have, the more, you know, the next generation is going to live longer and longer.
Well, and then I think of that, like with nonprofits, I think about this a lot too in September, like with childhood cancer awareness and how little funding, you know, they get. And it's like, I agree with that, but that's also like, why should our family and friends and all that rallying together be funding this? Like there is a big pool and we're only getting that 2% of it, you know, or that pool needs to be bigger. And so there's just so many areas of it, but I totally align with what you're saying where like if there is an opportunity for us to be able to have a seat at the table or more of a voice, like if October is when I can get the extra PR or the extra opportunities, I will take it, you know, whenever we can get it, you know, in the right way. And I think to what you guys were saying earlier too, it's not just the pink t-shirt, it's the pink t-shirt that has no intention behind it. It doesn't, it's not donating enough funds. It's not building any education or real action behind it. And that's the part that becomes like we're being used as a marketing tool.
Yes.
You know, I've been a runner since before I got cancer, and I still am. And I did tons of local races before I was a runner, and I never would really look into what's the charity. You know, if there was a women's cancer run, oh, sure, I'll do that. And I never thought, you know, well, how much is going to the charity and what does that charity do? And that's something I only became aware of thinking about after my diagnosis. And that is true for so many things. If you want to buy a pink t-shirt, that's great. But who's selling that pink t-shirt, and are the proceeds going to a worthy cause?
Exactly.
I think too, like a little hot tip is every nonprofit has a 990. It's a form they have to fill out. It's usually the year before, so you can't like get like up-to-date information necessarily, but that outlines that.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not great at reading them. It's not my forte. I was a musical theater major, but you can see who's paid as part of the organization. You can kind of see where money is outlined.
Well, as we go into the month, like, what's the biggest thing that you'd want, say there was an education initiative, what would you like, and I know there's probably a million things, but maybe picking out like one or two of your top that you want people to be more educated about.
Oh, like just like general stats?
Yeah, and maybe just like general, like, what people might not know. Like, this is a stupid example, but like toe infections during chemo, right?
They're
Like,
real.
yeah, they're real.
Yeah.
Like things that you wouldn't talk about. For some people, hair loss is so emotionally devastating, and for some people, that's not the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So those are kind of some really light examples, but you can also go a bit deeper too on stats and the fact that we're all different. There's different types of cancer, stuff like that.
I guess like the thing that comes to mind is like if you have cells in your body, you can get breast cancer. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever body you were born into, you can get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't have to have a family history. That actually doesn't make you more prevalent. I mean, it puts you at higher risk.
Yeah.
But like I have a lot of cancer in my family,
Yeah.
but no breast cancer. So
Yeah.
it's really important. You can't just be like, there's no cancer in my family. I don't have to worry about it. If you have
Yeah.
cells in your body, if you have breast tissue, you can get breast cancer.
Exactly.
The second
Most
one,
people don't have a family history. Most people
Yeah,
with
most
a
people
breast
don't.
cancer diagnosis, I don't.
I don't either. Lots of
Yeah, I
cancer
don't
in my
either.
family, but yeah, no specifically breast cancer. I lost my second thought. Came
We'll
over-
actually have an episode we recorded with Dina Goldberg from Dina DNA, if you guys follow her.
Yeah.
She's great. So we talked a bit about genetics and a lot of that, because that's the first thing. I mean, maybe with cancer in general, I just feel like that's the first question people ask with breast cancer. Because
Yeah.
once they kind of learned what like BRCA is, or heard it, they just assume, that that's what it is. It's like, nope. Or the, oh, well, at least you caught it early. Nope.
No.
No. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say too. So I like to explain cancer as like cancer is uncontrollable cellular growth. So if you have cells, most of us, we all have cancer cells in our bodies, but our bodies will identify it and take it away, right? For whatever reason, each of us, our bodies, that little switch was off. So, the cancer cell was in, our bodies didn't identify it, and now it's growing and growing and growing. And like that, its basic is cancer, and so if you have a mutation like BRCA, that can be maybe the reason why that switch was off. You gain mutations as you're in cancer treatment because cancer is working around it. So that can be a reason why cancer is progressing. That can be a treatable way to go after it, a targeted measure for treating it. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you have breast tissue, if you have cells, that's why I think if you're not gonna, if you can't get a mammogram before 40, the best defense of your body is knowing your body, knowing what it feels like, to be in your body, and then being able to advocate that and share that with a healthcare professional that believes you and takes you seriously.
And know what the signs
Yes. The
of
symptoms
something,
are.
because maybe you can, you feel you're like, maybe like this feels weird for me, but if you don't know what certain signs of breast cancer that are in the breast tissue, you might just kind of be like, well, maybe it's nothing. But if you know that, you're having discharge from your nipple and like you're not breastfeeding, like that's not normal. Having rippling, having dimpling, having obviously the lump is the main one. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic. But there's so many other different signs of it, and not knowing how to do a breast check is like, I know a lot of women that before they got cancer were like, I had no idea what a breast check was. But I also know a lot of women like myself that I found my cancer because I did a breast check. I was told because of my mom how to do a breast check by the time I was 13. So I found that, and then because I couldn't obviously feel the tumor in my head, but I knew that these headaches weren't normal headaches. And that's when I was like, hey, I need to do this MRI. And so knowing this, like, just like you said, of like knowing what's not normal for you, but then also knowing the importance of, you said it perfectly. If you have breast tissue, like you can get it, whether you have a family history or not. So knowing what is not normal is, is very, very important. Not to cut you, I cut you off.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it is perfect. So I used to do breast and ovarian cancer workshops on college campuses, and this is what we talk about. These are our main things that we talked
Like
about
after having cancer or before?
after having cancer.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
just
like, wow, that was
here are the
really
scientists. No,
proactive.
no, but I think that program was pulled, and I feel like that's such a part of what I miss about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I felt like I was actually like in the trenches with younger people, making sure that because that's where we're going to see a change.
That just clicked for me when you said that, because I think we so much associate prevention now, maybe not us individuals here, but people in general, with like what type of foods you're eating, exercise, and all this stuff.
Yes.
And there are important things, but nothing's 100%. Like
Yeah.
I was running marathons before I got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer with no genetic mutation or family history.
Cancer don't care.
It does
Cancer
not
don't
care.
Cancer don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many scenarios that it just like is, people don't realize it, I would hope, or else they wouldn't do it, but like of making us feel like it's our fault, right?
Yes.
And making it feel like there's these causes. I also, just speaking to the checking yourself, most recently last year when I had one of my recurrences, so I knew that there was a tumor in my breast and knew it hadn't spread. So like we were taking a beat to like decide what to do next. And I did end up having it removed to try to stay on treatment. Long story short, that didn't work out, so we switched treatment. But, it was like a fist-sized tumor in my breast.
Wow.
And there were parts of the month where like I couldn't feel it at all. And then,
Wow.
depending on kind of like where you're on your cycle and other things.
Yeah.
And so that I found so interesting too, where like I love feeling on the first and all that kind of stuff, but like knowing your body at all times, like you guys were saying, is like, I think so critical, because I'm like there trying to find it. I'm like, I know it's in there. Like,
Where is it? Where'd it go?
Yeah. So if I can't feel it, knowing it's in there, how many people are just not noticing if they're not checking?
Yeah, I found mine started with pain, and I delayed and delayed because I'm like, I'm healthy. I was a college athlete. Like, I'm good. Breast cancer doesn't exist in my world. And I went to 2 doctors before I got the diagnosis. And I think part of that was, I don't know, I trusted, I always say this, like, I trusted the person in the white coat because I was, born and raised to believe that doctors are always right. And there's a status, and I'm like, oh, I'm poor. I only have an HMO. I hope I'm okay. But yeah, you have to know your body, and then you have to be able to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
And it's really hard in those situations where there's like a power dynamic in a room where a doctor's trying to get to the next patient. So I would say bring a friend. Bring your loud, obnoxious friend.
Yeah.
And if you don't have one, I'll come.
And doctors also will, just because we're women, like there's also like, I've heard so many stories of women that go to their doctor and they're like, I know something is wrong. Yes. Something is wrong. Like I need this test, or I need this, like something is wrong. And they're like, you're 30, you're fine. It's probably your period. It's probably something else. And they'll minimize us and they'll push us away. The only reason that like anyone really like believed me, I guess, is because I went to them. I was like, I have this lump. I have a family history. My mom had it. And then that was when they were like, oh, okay. Like maybe it's something, but still they were like, I don't think it's anything.
Yeah, they never do.
And then
because they don't want to. I think they look at you and they go, "Oh no,
you're so young.
okay.
You're 23. You're
they
healthy.
don't want you. They don't want to believe that it could happen to you.
It's not always coming from a bad place, but it's like, it's a bit of ignorance there. I also think that a lot of people are afraid. Like we're causing more fear mongering with scans. Like, I never had. No, I'm hitting the mic. I never had a mammogram before having the first one because I found my lump. So if mammograms cause cancer, they did not cause my cancer. Right. But that stuff in general, it's like there's so much data that shows that it saves lives more than what that risk is. But if people go into that appointment being like, well, I really don't want to get scanned anyway, or I'm afraid to have a mammogram or this or that, then they're going to take that for face value, and they're not going to bring their friend like Megan, or they're not going to, advocate harder because they're kind of like, yeah, I don't want it either. It's like, I hated needles. So if they were like, well, you don't have to get blood drawn today, but you could, I'm like, great, I'm not going to.
That was my first doctor. They're like, we don't think. I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I always tell people when they're like worried about radiation for a mammogram, I'm like, do you worry about flying? Because every time you fly, you get some radiation because you're getting closer to the sun.
Do you worry about sleeping next to another person? People give off radiation.
Boom.
One of my friends is a radiologist, and she said that an X-ray is the equivalent of sleeping next to another person for 2 nights. So we're getting a lot of radiation just out in the world. Don't worry about the mammogram. Worry about the cancer.
That is an amazing statistic. We might need to talk to her, too.
I know.
Yeah. I know a certain amount of cross-country flights equates like a mammogram.
Yep.
I mean, but people travel all the time, or I mean, there are people who travel weekly for work and things like that. So it's this desire for people to know what caused it. Do you guys feel that?
Absolutely.
I wanted to have a genetic mutation, which sounds horrible because that can also lead to, higher risk for other things. Like it's not ideal. But I felt like I was like, oh, genetic tests tell me something.
Yeah.
I want to be able to point the finger. I don't, like otherwise you just point it at yourself.
Yeah.
And that's hard too. And you're like, I don't know. But then I have like really healthy friends and I go, well, if they got cancer and they, it can't possibly be my fault.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's not any of
never
our
your
fault.
fault. No.
Yeah. And I think it's super normal to feel that way. But I know other than when people start asking targeted questions and like that gets really annoying of you're picking up what they're putting down kind of thing.
Sure.
Personally, it's like I don't want to waste any time like dwelling on that. I don't think there's anything different I could have done. I mean, alcohol is a known carcinogen. I know alcoholics who don't have cancer, right? I mean, there's so many things that you know cigarette smokers who might never get lung cancer, but then someone who's a non-smoker that might.
Right.
Like some stuff can increase or lower risk, and that's important, and I think to educate on. But other stuff is like, this is the life we're living, and we deserve to live it regardless.
And there's so many known factors that we have zero control over. Environmental toxins. We don't control what's in the air. We don't control what pesticides are used on our food. To place that burden on the individual when it's a systemic problem is just pointing fingers back at somebody who already has a devastating diagnosis.
100%.
Yeah.
The Red 5 stuff really bothered me when it came out. Because I think, hey, get rid of, artificial sweeteners.
Yes,
Great.
fine.
But it's almost like it was like getting everyone to look over here so that they could like get rid of these things that are more environmental.
Exactly.
Like I care more about air quality, the water. Like now they're eliminating, right? And I don't know the exact things, but they're eliminating a lot of the protections around the stuff coming to us that are way more, like I'm way more afraid of than making my junk food healthier.
Right? And they're gutting cancer research and then saying, oh, well, we're banning these additives in food. Well, fine, ban the additives in food. I don't care. That stuff probably shouldn't be in food anyway.
But that's not going to help.
That's not going to help
all the people with cancer. And that's not, we have no evidence that shows that that's like the one thing that would change.
There's no evidence of causality.
Yeah, for sure. And I think especially with a disease that faces so many younger women, like what we're putting on our faces, that's like sponged in. There's so much that we just don't know. And we're kind of playing this fast and loose game where, put all the toxins in and we'll figure it out later. And I'm just like, can we go the opposite way?
Yeah.
But going back to funding, I think specifically so under the Department of Defense, or do we call it the Department of War? I don't know. But there's congressionally directed medical research funds. And a group of women in the 90s really fought for the Department of Defense budget, some of it to go to cancer. So there's some cancer budgeting, there's some breast cancer budgeting. Ovarian cancer has one, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy has a specific fund. And it's kind of incredible research that goes into these people that are getting grants that are supported by this fund. They cut that funding 57%, all funding. Breast cancer lost 13% from last year. Ovarian cancer lost like a huge percentage of their funding. And when I think of like breast cancer versus ovarian cancer is less likely to get, but you're more likely to die from it. It's very deadly. It affects young women. It's really hard to detect early. We don't have great detection for it.
Yeah.
And like, so when we talk about like research funding, you know, pharma loves to like get drugs that help people a little bit longer, but like the NIH, you know, like the congressionally directed medical research funds for breast cancer, you know, we're trying to cure people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Like that's
curing people,
the end goal.
right?
Is,
Curing
like,
people isn't as profitable as making the next drug that somebody can be on.
Yeah.
So when I think about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and funding, it's like, it's
When you've been
overwhelming.
spending a lot of time in DC, I mean, you're such an advocate. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple groups I work with, but one is Clinical Trials Transformation Initiative, and it's an amazing example of like private public partnership. So funded by, started by Duke and the FDA, funded by the FDA, involves pharma and clinical sites and patient advocacy groups, and I'm a patient rep on the steering committee, and we basically come together to solve problems surrounding clinical trials, making them easier, more patient focused. The first pillar is actually like making sure that clinical trials are patient focused. But I think initiatives like this is kind of like the future. Like, how do we make everybody happy? How do we use everybody's brains to like problem solve and to actually make really good change? And so a lot of the working group that I was on, full disclosure, was all about implementing diversity action plans, because the FDA came down and said, you have to have diversity action plans because your drugs need to be tested on people that look like the people that are going to use them, right? Which makes sense for everybody involved. But then Trump came to office and we can't use the word diversity. So now it's something proportional enrollment, blah, 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 blah.
And like, I'm not sure if everyone realizes, like literally, like that's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
You can't put the word diversity like in grant applications. I mean,
No.
you can't for nonprofits. You can't for research grants. Like, these are like real things happening.
Yeah, really, really big things happening. The other thing I'm doing in a couple weeks is Mediviver does a stage 4 stampede. So come join us.
Where do we join,
Join
you?
us.
Yeah, where is it?
It's going to be in DC, 15th, 16th, 17th are the days that I'm going to be there, but 16th and 17th are the two big days. And yeah, it's just, ironically, they might not be funded. So we might show up and they might not be in the offices because they literally didn't fund themselves or, get there. Right. So I'm very curious to see if we'll actually be able to talk to people and representatives. But I think part of, it's exhausting, like having to be like, I feel like every time we're opening our wounds, right? But it's worth it if you're going to do something. So that's what I do. A lot of the work I do is legislatively, just trying to get legislation pushed to make things better for the cancer community or for the metastatic community. Because some of these laws are just wild. And there's so much we can do to improve quality of life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of the opinions coming in are from people who really don't understand what's happening or what it is. What, like, for you guys, what's kind of the thing that sticks out of like an ignorant story of like, telling someone Megan already has one.
No, I'm just thinking, I'm like, all of them. But I'm like,
yeah.
I literally turned because I was like,
Yeah.
ooh,
I mean, I've
give me your best.
I've definitely been told, like, in real life, like, oh, at least you have the good kind of cancer, like you were saying earlier. And my friends will say to me, like, someone really said that? Like, oh, yeah, like, that, like, really gets said.
Oh, yeah. People say that about breast cancer a lot.
Yeah. And then I just say, oh, like, the terminal kind?
Yeah.
I've had people say to me, like, you're lying. Like, when I was first diagnosed, I did cold capping, so I kept my hair. And, I was 23 at the time.
By the way, I'm like,
I was 23 at the time, and I was telling someone that it was like, they weren't a friend, but like the mutual friend of a friend, we were out, and I was like, yeah. And I was like slowly telling people that because I was going through chemo at the time, but I was keeping my hair. And so, and I told them, I was like, yeah, like I was just recently diagnosed with breast cancer and I'm going through chemo and everything. And the person looks at me and like looks at me up and down and goes, you're lying, right? You don't have cancer. Like, is this like a bit that you do? And I paused for a second and I kind of like was waiting for them to be like, ha ha ha, just joking, like, ha, I got you, and then they didn't. And I was just like, why would I lie about that?
Oh my God, I'm
What
so
is it?
sorry that
Why-
happened.
I know.
Why would
Yeah.
why would I lie about that? And they just like, I think it came to them like what they said, and they were like, oh, well, like you just like, you don't look like you have cancer. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I still have cancer.
Yeah.
And like,
And what does cancer look like? Just what you've seen in the movies?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is
Like-
half the problem.
Yes.
everyone, I think a lot of people that have no like interaction with someone that has cancer, there's still this perception that it's an older person's disease. And so you see someone like me that, you know, especially when I had longer hair and I looked fine, you're not going to think that this person has cancer. I was in New York in June when I went to Camp Breasty, and I had just finished Enhertu, so I had my shaved head because when I was on Enhertu, my hair would not grow.
Yeah.
So I had a really, really thin buzz cut. And I was on the subway. We were just gotten off the bus, and my cousin like tried to like move this woman from sitting down because she wanted me to sit down because I was really tired. And this woman threw a fit and like screaming and yelling on the subway, all this stuff. And at one point, I wasn't going to say anything. And then at one point I was like, she moved you out of the way to let me sit down because I'm a stage 4 breast cancer patient and have severe fatigue. Like, I'm really sorry she pushed you, like, but that's why she was giving me the seat. And she was just like, well, that doesn't matter. I wanted the seat. Like, you're fine. And I was just like, I just told you I have stage 4 cancer and I'm struggling with chronic fatigue. What do you mean? And then she was like, well, I have cancer too. And I'm like, okay, so then you should understand why I would want to sit.
Yeah.
And they just kept going and going. And at one point, I just screamed so loud. I was just like, everybody in here knows what a a-hole you guys are, and everybody hates you, and like, you know,
I
you're
love
just
this.
you're a terrible human being. And I just like, I lost it. I was so upset.
Good for
And then
you.
after they left, this older woman with a mask came near me, and I was just like, what, do you want to sit down too? And she was just like, she laughed. She was like, no, I'm really glad that like you stood up for yourself. Like, that was really horrible. I'm so sorry. And like a bunch of people around me were just like, I'm really sorry that happened to you. But yeah, I've had a lot of interactions where I feel like people don't believe me, or like, you know, when I have my handicap pass on in my car and I park in,
You're
people
like,
are
"What?
like,
You're young and healthy. You're too young to have cancer.
like,
You're
you
young to
know,
be
like
handicapped."
why are you using a disabled placard to walk in? And it's like, because I have chronic fatigue and I have this and everything. So I have had many types of situations, but yeah, so that's my horror story.
Aw, I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that.
so sorry, but I'm like, damn, get it. Like,
Yeah, good for you.
I hide in the corner and I cry privately.
At this point, it happens so, and it's not even that people will like say something, because a lot of people won't. Like, those two are very, like, those are outliers, but like, it's the look on people's faces, or it's the judgment, or it's the like, is she like what, like, is she really that sick, or is she really this? That it's just like, I've gotten to this point where like, I do not care. And like, if people want to say something to me, please make my day. Please say something to me, because it will not end well for you. Like, you will feel horrible about yourself. But yeah, so those are the two like extremes that I've had.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's really hard being so young. I mean, you know, we joke all the time, like, oh, you're too young to have cancer and all this. But like, I mean, at 23 was when you got diagnosed, you know?
And then
I
again
mean,
at 25.
and it's 25, yeah. I mean, it's just, people think that they know something about something they know nothing about.
Yep.
And for some reason, you know, and I only know from having breast cancer, right? So we haven't had none of us here have had another type of cancer, I don't think.
No.
But like, yeah, I wonder if that's more prominent because it's breast cancer, because people think they understand it because their, you know, friends, brothers, cousins, sister-in-law had it, you know?
For sure. I think it's also just, not to sidebar it, but like, how are we showing it in the media?
Yep.
Like, as an
Oh,
actor,
yes.
going out for commercials, I am like ready pharma money. I want all that pharma money. And guess what? I almost never, I mean, when it's something specifically for a young person with cancer, I book that shit. But for things where they like, I think they don't like to see a younger person taking the cancer medication for breast cancer for some reason. It's always, it's never people in those commercials that look like me. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of the problem. Like, this is what cancer looks like. This is what breast cancer looks like. And we
Yeah.
almost have to get louder and louder ourselves because, you know, the way that people are seeing it is not representative of what it is.
And more young women are getting it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
like
You are so young.
it's and that's why like that representation is so important because we're now seeing like, yes, we're early detection is better and, you know, overall survival rates are better, but still more women are getting cancer younger and younger. And like, I kind of didn't want to be a part of the breast cancer community when I was first diagnosed because I went to a bunch of organizations and stuff, and I was just like, nobody here knows my experience because everybody was, you know, in their 30s or mid 30s, and that's still very young, but people were married and had kids and had careers and like had life experiences. And I'm sitting there, you know, I just graduated college and I, you know, wasn't able to do my career and I'm not having the normal, you know, like 20s experience. And I'm like, you know, I'm in my own little cocoon.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about you?
Well, I have a funny one and a not funny one.
Oh.
When I went through my initial mastectomy reconstruction, I had deep flap reconstruction, which I'm very happy with where I am now, but I really went through hell for that reconstruction. And I don't know if I would, knowing what I went through, I don't know if I would make that choice again. But I did the best I could with the information I had, and I am happy with where I am now. And I had disease involvement in the nipple, so I was not able to have nipple-sparing reconstruction. So after my second reconstruction surgery, I had to wait a year and then get a nipple tattoo. And the guy who did my nipple tattoo is incredible, so sweet, wonderful. His whole operation is super professional. He only does medical tattoos. And you can't see because I'm like dressed in long sleeves and long pants today, but I have a lot of other tattoos too. So I got there and he was sort of looking away from me, getting his station set up, and he said, "Do you want me to explain what it's like to get a tattoo?" And then he turns around and looks at me and says, "Oh, okay."
Never mind.
Everybody, you know, the vast majority of people who he's doing these tattoos for are like 65-year-old ladies who've never gotten a tattoo before. So I do think we do need a little bit more representation in media that young people are getting this disease and not everybody is a grandma who's getting it anymore. Then the not funny one was I got the phone call confirming my initial diagnosis at work. And my boss was in my office with me when I got the call. And he's wonderful. And he said, "We'll figure this out. It'll be okay." And so I thought, who do I need to talk to? So my direct supervisor, I did not have a good relationship with. And the supervisor above him, I adored. So I went to her, I told her she was fantastic. She printed out all the information that she thought I might need, said, "Call me anytime, we'll figure this out, don't worry about your job," which is exactly the way you should be treated. Then I went to my direct supervisor, and he said, "This is going to be really hard on everyone else." Because they would have to fill in for me.
What do you think his end game was with that comment? Like, what, like, oh, okay, then I just won't treat my cancer.
On second thought, I'm going to turn down the cancer. I'm going to say, no, thank you. No cancer for me.
Wow. Your cancer is going to make us suffer.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what a wild.
People are just very insensitive, and people have a ton of internalized ableism, especially in the States. You know, so much of American culture is about being hardworking and being productive, and all of that's great, but that's not what determines your worth as a human being. And so there's a lot of insensitive comments about like, well, what's going to happen if you can't work? You know, how are the rest of us going to keep up? Well, not really my problem. I have to focus on the cancer.
Yeah.
Wild.
I'm sorry that
He's not my
happened.
supervisor anymore.
Good.
Good.
Do you have a scenario, Megan? And then I have a
Yeah, I got
another
a
question.
a quick funny one was somebody. I started going back to work, and my hair was really, really short, and he was like, "Why'd you cut off all your hair?" And I was like, "Oh, I think I said something like, it wasn't a choice," you know. I don't know. It was such a hard transition back. And then I had a woman. She was wasted on a plane back from Vegas. I had a layover in Vegas, and I was like, "Oh, no one's sitting in the middle seat. Whoop whoop." You know, like I can spread out a little bit. And I had a hat on, but like clearly very bald. And this is my initial diagnosis where my left eye from the taxotere would just always cry. So I looked sick and sad, like constantly. And so I kept like, I had to kind of like always keep it kind of chipper. But she's drunk and she sits next to me. And right when we're, it's like really quiet and we're getting ready to take off, she's like, "Do you have cancer?" And I was like, oh, like mortified. And I'm crying. And then I find myself being like, yeah, but I'm like doing great. It's like, I'm in chemo right now, but like, I'm fine. Like you're trying to like make, I don't know if you do this yourself, but it's like, oh, I got to make this sound better than it is.
Oh, 100%.
I got to make it
Yes.
sound better.
Yeah.
I got to make it sound better.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
well.
Because you don't want to manage other people's emotions
No,
about it. So
but
you're
you
just
are
like,
by doing it.
You are, yes.
Ironically,
Yes.
right? So how do you get out of that?
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out.
I have not figured that
a
one out
catch-all.
either.
Give me the
Me
tips.
neither.
Yeah. Well, okay. The next question is on something fun. So in the last chapter of my book, and this was something I started doing like from the beginning. I never intended to write a book, but I kept like a note on my phone of like the best days that I had during. I did this mainly during my like initial like TCHP chemo.
Yeah.
And to give you like an example to get the wheels turning, like one day it was kind of like, with the really rough chemo, you have like that sliver of time where you feel like normal and you can taste food and these kinds of things. So I really wanted to like make more salads because we got one of those lettuce grows at home.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like, I want to get just like some really good olive oil and vinegar. So Eric and I drove to Santa Barbara for the day and got like the olive oil, like the best ones we could find and tastings and all that. And like that was, like a cool way to do something that's like, I'm not just gonna go pick that up at Trader Joe's next door. I'm gonna like go get the best. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys have any
I love that.
examples of things.
My first treatment wasn't working, and we figured out pretty early on, and it was COVID. But it was like COVID was kind of like downturning, and so we were like, now's a good time to get married, and so we planned a wedding in a month. It wasn't like a good day, but it was like good days. Because as you know, like when you're kind of waiting for it to come off the medication, like the
Yeah.
better and the better that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, technically I started it and then we got married like 3 days later. But, it's about taking advantage of those good days and like doing what you can even when you don't feel great. Or when you do feel great, just like running, like do your marathon that day. Get it all in while you can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's clearly how I live.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like people are like, how do you do so much of that? It's like because I know what it feels like to not be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and so the second that it's because people are always like, be careful or don't wear yourself down. It's like nothing that I do is gonna make the fatigue or other side effects worse. Like that's gonna happen no matter what. So
Yeah.
at least let's get to live it up.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with the stage 4 in August of 2024. So, and because it was in my brain, they obviously, they had to do a little cut, and my hair had just finally grown back in. Like it was down to here. It was curly from the first time, and I remember sitting in the hospital bed, and I was like he was explaining the whole process, and that was fine for me, but I was like, are you gonna have to shave my head? And he's like, no. But then I had the brain radiation and like other radiation, if you've had it in your armpit, that whole area that they radiate, the hair like does not grow back for a while.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes it's nice.
yeah, like, and it's in
yeah.
a convenient part, and you're like, okay, great.
But
I had shaved my head because my hair started falling out with the Enhertu, and then as my hair was still starting to come back in, I had this huge patch with my scar, and you can't tell because my hair's grown back in, but it's a pretty big scar. And so my cancer anniversary is in February. And so that, February, this February of 2025, I was like, I really want to do something really special for my cancer anniversary. The past couple I was just kind of like, I got a cake and I was like, yay, I'm not dead yet. Okay, great. But I wanted to do something. And so I decided to do a photo shoot, and I got a photographer, and we booked out a studio, and I really wanted to capture myself in this moment because I did not take a lot of photos of myself during the first time I got cancer. I was just like, I don't like how I look. This is not how I want to look. I'm not going to take any pictures because my hair's going to grow back and I'm going to look better and it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But then, when I thought I'd be on Enhertu for a long time, I was like, I am probably going to look like this for a while. I need to be comfortable with how I look right now. And I want to make sure that I capture this moment of myself. And so I did. So I had some professional photos taken, and it was such a great experience. It was very liberating, and it was a very for self-love moment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was something that I was like, I really want to do this for myself.
I love that so much. I was talking about this. One of my best friends, Billy, she's a photographer.
Yeah.
She's going to be on a later episode we release next month. And I took her way out of her comfort zone to just record podcasts normally. But I was like, I think it's so critical. She would come with me to treatment, take photos, these things that I almost wish, in those pictures there, I wish I didn't have my beanie on, or because there's certain things that I feel empowered just looking back and seeing it and knowing that we're beautiful either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the first time I really talked publicly about my situation was I participated in the LA Marathon, did a little mini documentary series in 2019 of 35 people who were training for the LA Marathon, and I was one of them. I talked about cancer, and it was really hard. I was deep in the trenches, so I was super emotional. I cried through the whole interview. And then I got to go to the Paul McCartney concert in the owner's box at Dodger Stadium because of the LA Marathon had the owner's box.
That is
awesome. So that was a really incredible day.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Never regret going to concerts.
No.
Yeah. I know. I feel I don't know if you guys would all agree, but just those things that you're oh, I'd like to see that band, or I'd want to go to this place or whatever. It's you just do it.
Yeah.
Or Backstreet Boys was the one for me recently.
Yeah. So I'm going. I have tickets.
So glad you're going. Yeah.
I know. I'm excited.
The best thing ever.
Yeah. But I think especially with metastatic disease, you're I could live a really long time, or this could be my last line of treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird, do I put money in my Roth IRA or, I don't know.
My career was selling 401k before, retirement plans. I was a financial advisor. And it's thinking about 59 and a half and withdrawing money, then it's I'll be so thrilled if I'm alive then. But then also I think in Enhertu with a similar experience to what you had, is just that made me realize at any moment, even if I don't die, there might be a period of time where I have to suck it up and be on something till something else comes up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll be able to live the way that I want to live.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes things, I try to not dwell on that and focus on the fact that we get to do so much cool stuff now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are any of you guys, who's rappelling off the building with me? Yeah?
I mean, I told you I would.
Yeah.
What?
Are you
said I would.
Keriann?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you info on this.
You're jumping off, we're jumping off a building?
So we're not really jumping off. They don't like that terminology.
Oh, sorry.
I know how
Not
to
jumping.
No. It's
Not
this really
jumping.
cool event. I did it last year with Cancer Support Communities, Los Angeles. And you rappel off the Andaz Hotel in West Hollywood. By the time that this episode airs, we will have already done it. So we'll have to post some
Congratulations, you did it.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
We're going to have custom capes. We're going to,
Wow.
And after doing it last year, I did it with Glozell, Grace Helbig, and Annie Bond. You guys know Annie?
Yeah.
And so many people had reached out to me in the meantime, like, I want to do that next year. So, I mean, I think we have
Wow.
like at least 10 people doing it right now. And
Wow.
it's going to be really fun. And it's a whole day. They have great support, other orgs and stuff there. So I'll send you the info and rope you in.
Please, thank you.
It's so funny because I think about like, I've thought about it recently. I was like, will I be scared? And I'd be like, no, I'm scared in my body every day. Repelling is nothing.
I know, it's nice.
Yeah.
It was like much scarier things.
Yeah, we were just in Switzerland, and I like ran and jumped tandem off a mountain with a guy and soared over the Matterhorn. You know, was I
Wow.
scared? No, fear already lives in me, baby.
Annie said before, like, she was like, I was thinking, like, what if I fall? But then I thought, what if I fly? Like, that's it.
I mean, I'm okay with going that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Well, were you going to say something?
No, I was just like, yeah, I think it's important to capitalize on those moments that we're feeling better, and that if an opportunity comes along that you're like, yeah, do it, because you don't know. Like we're all running out of time, but some people's clocks are faster than others. So do what you want
Exactly.
now.
Yeah, we're
I would
driving without a
say-
seatbelt a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I would say you get hit by a car tomorrow, but that's my worst. That's the thing I hate when people say. Like, of course we can all get hit by a car tomorrow, but do you know that a car is going to be the thing that probably is what kills you? Like I got a bone to pick with that phrase. I got a bone to pick.
Yeah, it doesn't change the circumstance, and everything's valid. And I think that's a piece too from doing retreats and different things that are all types of cancer. I think, like, especially, I mean, now that people cold cap, now being bald is not necessarily the indication that someone has cancer.
yeah.
But there's also, a lot of other types, like friends with medullary thyroid cancer or, other serious terminal types that, again, people think is, it's a good type of cancer. Or the more solutions for that is surgery versus chemo. And so we all look different, but going through different stuff. And I think the thing that makes me feel so sad and aggravated for people is when they say they have like imposter syndrome from their cancer. Has anyone ever said that to you? Like,
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Because maybe they got to avoid radiation, or maybe they got to
Yeah.
avoid chemo, or maybe they didn't lose their hair,
Or
or
they were stage 0.
yeah, or they're previvor, kind of
Yeah.
going through it to protect themselves long term.
Yeah.
but like they've had major surgeries, removal of things or whatever it is. It's just all of our experiences are valid, and I think that's like it was so important to me that we all got together as being able to relate. I think in voices that don't get heard as much. I mean, as much as I've been so fortunate with We Got This and friends who have helped out so much with helping us get the word out there and having the opportunity to talk about it. But there's definitely things that I'm not selected for because I'm stage 4 rather than like the story that's already a survivor or, that already beat it or,
Yeah.
And I think that it's just important that, everyone has the voice and that people take the time they don't have to understand all of our different nuances that we discuss that probably other fellow breast cancer people will, but at least take the time to cut through the pink a little bit and know what's going on. So that's my
I like
biggest
that,
hope this
cut
month.
through the pink.
Yeah.
Cut through the pink.
Yeah.
Cut through the pink.
I was saying earlier, because I make up the intro each time. I was like, cut through the noise. Let's talk about what really matters. Because that's the whole point of this project for me, calling it Live Like It Matters versus We Got This or something else, is like, it's not just about cancer. I want to use the platform for this month to really fill in those gaps of what's the stories that aren't being told.
Yeah.
But in general, it's like, all sorts of, like, we're more than just cancer, of course. I've definitely had hard times before having cancer too. So yeah, as you guys, if you have any last words you want to say, give you each the mic for a minute.
You go first.
I would say the one thing I think people don't understand about cancer is that it's like when you get a cancer diagnosis, it's like pulling a book off a shelf. Everything shifts. It's not just your health. Everything in your life shifts. So even though I'm no evidence of disease, the impacts on various aspects of my life are still very much there. And so if you have a friend or a loved one who's going through cancer, remember to check in with them even when they're done with active treatment, because it's not everything doesn't go back to the way it was. It will never go back to the way it was. And that doesn't mean it's not good still, but it's always going to be different. I think that's something, especially when I was diagnosed in early stages, I thought I have to get through this and then everything will be the same as it was before and I'll just go back to living my life. And that is not how it works. Even if you're not metastatic, where we sort of are forced to confront the fact that we will be dealing with this indefinitely, even in early stages, the impacts on your life don't go away.
Absolutely. Well said. I love the book analogy too.
Yeah, you kind of took mine, but I'll expand on it. There a lot of people just assume that they only know about chemo and maybe radiation or surgery, and so when you finish the initial active treatment, you hear oh, so you're better, oh, so you're good, right? And whether you are metastatic or not, like you pointed out, it impacts every aspect of your life. And so for me, like, I had to go into permanent menopause to kind of, protect myself from getting ovarian cancer and to attack the, estrogen positive part. So I'm dealing with all of the issues of menopause at 26 and all the health implications that causes. And I've had serious issues with my teeth from cancer. I've had serious issues with, we all, like, with our mental health, with our sleep, with our digestion, with our, and so you have the specialists for your oncologist, and then you have specialists on top of specialists on top of specialists because of, like you pointed out, it all just falls apart. And so for sure, please still stick with your people, because it's not just about the initial treatment. It is about the emotional, mental, physical aspects that follow us for our entire life, whether you're metastatic or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, I think people love a story, they love a narrative, and the narrative of early stage cancer is much easier to grasp onto because you kind of have a diagnosis, a treatment, like, think of it as a marathon. You go through all these things, you cross the finish line, your cancer is gone, you did it, give the award.
Hero's journey.
Yeah. and then you're like, it happened again, or it's back, and people are like, what does this story look like? You did the marathon, now do you run backwards? Do you go, is there another marathon? Like, how do I support?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What did you eat as a kid?
Right?
So what did you do?
I know. So I just think it's it's hard for people to understand, and so I think it's harder for them to support because they don't know what support looks like. And with each line of treatment, support for me has looked very, very differently, and you would only know by asking. Truly, you would only know what I need by asking me directly, like, what do you need? And it's easy for people in the metastatic setting for friends to get exhausted because it is, and this happened with my friend who's stage 4 colorectal cancer. People just disappeared because they didn't understand there's a longevity there. And, like, if you're in with me, like, it's going to be this long, it's a quest. It's a, I don't know. But it's not a marathon anymore. There's no finish line. It's just, you can look at it as marathon after marathon after marathon. And the thing that I think I would want people to understand, and the reason why we talk about research being so important, and the reason why I do clinical trials, interestingly enough, is that it extends my line of treatments. Right now, there's only so many lines of treatments, only so many combinations of drugs that are FDA approved. If I do a clinical trial, I'm basically keeping those lines down the road, but I'm getting access to a medication that might not be available right now or might be the new standard of care in the future. But if we don't do research, we don't have treatment. If our cancer keeps progressing, mine's been progressing and progressing lately, like, that's it. And, like, that's the marathon. That's what this looks like. And that's why I think, especially those of us that are metastatic, we're like, please, research, more medications.
You only get a cure with research.
You do.
And I love the way you said that too, because that's exactly my viewpoint on the clinical trials also. Because, like, say the clinical trial where I'm going to be on student and you just started, say that does become standard of care. It's not like everyone's going to have access to that in the meantime of all the steps that it needs to go through. And it's not like everyone can just get into that trial at any time. So to me, it was a no-brainer to take advantage of what we have access to.
Yeah.
But I think in general, like, people just need to know that we're constantly making impossible decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no one knows. Like, I love my oncologist. She's the first to say, like, I don't know everything, but like, here's, based on what we know, here's what I would do, or, you know, here's the options.
Yeah.
And I think that by people really grasping that, hopefully it can click that, like, we can't just ask these targeted questions that make us feel like cancer's our fault.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
like we should be, you know, only taking mushroom supplements instead of chemo. You know, there's certain things that, like,
Yeah.
we're constantly doing and deciding. And that goes for everyone, and it just looks different, you know. So I really appreciate you guys being so open and taking this time. I feel like we could talk for days. We're probably gonna have to redo this sometime too. And we don't have to do it in October. Like, what's cool is, like, we're here and have cancer every month of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not cool, but but we should be talking about it all
Yes,
the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
for having
guys.
us.
Thank you
Love
for
all
having
so
us.
much. And
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So nice
appreciate.
meeting
I
you
like
ladies.
the word quest. I know if you look
Vision
up, like,
quest.
synonyms for journey, because
I
you know it's like
know.
tough journey.
Yeah.
One of them is safari. That's
Ooh,
what Julia
nice.
Johns talks about.
Oh.
Yeah.
I might take
Shout out
that.
to Julia,
Yeah.
fellow breastie. She's a comedian that we met through my oncologist. I'm a
Amazing.
good friend. There's some really funny synonyms. If you, like, ask ChatGPT or Google it, it's really good. But awesome. Well, thank you guys, and we're gonna get through October together,
Yeah.
We shall.
Yes.
and many, many years to come.
Because we got
Absolutely.
this.
We
got this.
got this.